Hey, welcome back everyone to another video. So last week was a pretty bad week for me. I was working on the game and suddenly I just got really overwhelmed with all the editor stuff and the engine stuff, and it was all so much work, and I thought, oh man, how am I ever gonna finish this game? And I just wasn't productive at all. So this week I want to try something different since I don't have anything to show you guys. I want to talk about how I got into game development. So I'll start at the beginning. It was 1989. I was born. No, just kidding. Not gonna go back that far. I just finished high school and I had to do something. I had to either start a job or go to college. Now, I wasn't ready to start working, so my parents actually picked a college for me since I didn't know what I should do. I just had no clue. And my parents knew I kind of liked doing some Photoshop stuff, so they signed me up for a course called Interactive Media. It's a 4-year course and you do like HTML and some design stuff. So I think my parents made a pretty good choice. So I went to the school, and the first year is kind of a general year where you get all the different courses available. So that's not only design but also some technical stuff like programming and also some business stuff. So I enjoyed all the courses, and I actually do think that even though I hate business stuff right now, that it was really valuable and that I still apply a lot of the knowledge that I gained in those courses. Now, there also was a programming course, and you must think, oh, you're a programmer, so you must have loved that course. But actually, I really hated it. I really had no clue what was going on. I had a pretty bad teacher, and yeah, she just went way too fast, and I was just looking at the code and I just saw these curly brackets and parentheses and semicolons and text, and I just really had not a single clue what the hell was going on the screen. So I didn't even try. I didn't go to the lessons anymore. I didn't take the test. I failed. But in this school you actually have to complete all the classes. You have to pass them all. So in the second year I had to retake the programming course, and I had a different teacher, and that made a whole lot of difference. So more specifically, the course was about ActionScript, which is the programming language you use in Flash. So you can make Flash games and stuff. And since I was kind of visually oriented, I wanted to be an artist. Don't ask me why, because I can't draw or anything at all. But yeah, I wanted to be an artist, and Flash was really visual, and that really helped me. I think that really was the perfect introduction to programming for me. So I actually aced this course. I think I almost got a perfect score. And that was just 6 weeks of programming. That was the only programming in the first year. Now, since I wanted to be an artist in the second year, I just chose all the art classes. But at the end of the year, I thought, no, I want to change things up. I want to start programming, and I just retook the second year and chose the technical direction instead. So we didn't actually get a lot of programming classes, but I just kept working in my free time on some small projects, and I just had a lot of fun. And since the course was about interactive media, it was more about HTML, making websites, and not at all about making games. But as I got better at programming, I started making more playful things. I still remember you had to make like a notepad application, and I made like this weird application where there were monsters walking around and stuff. It was totally unnecessary, but I really got drawn to the playful aspect of making applications. So fast forward to the final year, and I had to do a thesis. And at the time everyone was getting into entity component systems, which is like a specific type of programming. So I did a thesis on that and made a little game with the entity component system and wrote about all the pros and cons compared to OOP programming, which is another type of programming that was most common at the time. And I did pretty well. So along with the thesis you had to do an interview, and I actually did some live programming in the interview, and that's really dangerous since you get kind of nervous and you can easily screw things up. And the teacher was really impressed. Wow, this is the first time I saw someone gamble with live programming during a presentation. So I got a pretty high score. I think I got like a 9 out of 10. And that was it. I got my diploma. I didn't go to the actual award ceremony because I was too nervous. But yeah, I got my diploma eventually. And I wanted to start working at a company. So I was searching for quite a long time. It was really hard to find jobs. So I was searching and searching, but nothing came up, and in the meanwhile I was just making my own small games here and there, and in the end I did find a job. It was a local company that makes Flash games, which was totally up my alley since I loved Flash. It was what I started with, and yeah, it seemed perfect. So I started working there, but after a few months we got into really bad crunch. And this is kind of a long story that I want to tell a different time, but I'll keep it short this time. In the end, with all the crunch, I was working so much that I got some physical problems and I just couldn't use a computer anymore. And after a few months, I just had to leave the company. They just had to let me go because I just couldn't work anymore. So I was really bummed out because even at home I couldn't use a computer, I couldn't make any games anymore. On a limb I kind of bought a Surface Pro, which is like a tablet computer with Windows on it. And since I didn't have to use a mouse, I could use like the stylus on the screen, I could work a tiny bit. It was, for my condition that I had, it was a lot less straining. So I slowly got back into programming and making games, and a friend asked me if I wanted to join his project, which is called Samadhi, which was like a Smash Brother-ish party fighting game. So we were working on that for quite a while. I think we worked on it for almost a year and we completed the game. But in the meanwhile I had been working on my own game, which would eventually turn into Spirit Sphere. And we came to a point where I had to actually register a company to receive payment for the Samadhi game. And I guess having a company at that point, it was just too tempting to start my own business, start making my own games. So from that point on, I quit the Samadhi team and I actually started full-time on Spirit Sphere, which was quite a gamble since I only made like the Samadhi game and it wasn't that successful at the time at all, but it was just too tempting and I really liked the freedom of working on my own. I don't like working in a team so much since people will always make decisions that you don't like, and I like to have complete freedom over what I do. So yeah, that's how I started Ainthorn and that's how I started on Spirit Sphere, and I think that's about 3 years ago now. I think I started the company in 2015, I think August 2015, so a bit more than 3 years, and the time has really flew by, and Spirit Sphere turned out really nice and I'm quite happy with the end result. So yeah, that's pretty much a short version of how I started making games. If I look back now, it's really funny that I took the programming course in the first year of college and I really hated it. I didn't want to do anything with programming anymore. I just wanted to avoid it at all costs. But just because I got a better teacher, it completely turned things around, and without that teacher I wouldn't be making games right now. So I'm really glad I had the chance to retake the lessons and get another chance at programming. So let me know if you guys like this kind of story time kind of video. Personally, it's quite nice to have a little change from the devlogs. After doing those for a couple of weeks straight, I kind of feel like doing something else now and then. And if you guys have any stories how you started making games, please share them in the comments. I'm curious how your story looks compared to mine. So in a few days I actually will be flying to Japan. I think I won't be able to do a lot of work this week either, so I will see what I will do next week. Maybe I will talk a bit more about Spirit Sphere or talk a bit more about a different project. I will see when I get there. So thanks for listening and see you again next week.